Hey everyone, welcome back to Tuckaway Pines. Today is our garden update video. It is just the beginning of September, so this is going to be an update of what happened in August. And a lot has happened in the garden, so I'm going to get in there and show you what's going on. Alright, so this is the garden, looking pretty full still. We've been doing plenty of harvesting. I'm going to turn the camera around. It's easier for me to show you everything, and I'll explain what's what and what we've done and what we're doing. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a quick little glimpse of everything, the whole main crop garden at least. Okay, so right at the beginning, I'm going to start on this side. And here you can see we have our telephone peas, and they are doing so good. I'm gonna have to come out here and pick them. I just got off of work and jumped in here to show you guys everything right away. But I did have a perimeter of marigolds all the way around the garden. They actually started fizzling out. They kind of ran their course, so I ripped most of them out as they were fizzling out. But yeah, so along this fence, this like section of fence, I have my peas. They're actually growing a lot taller than the fence, so they kind of decided to fold over. And yeah, so next year I have a different spot in mind to plant them so they can actually grow to their full height without having to topple over. And then you can see our corn is doing pretty well. We did get a late start with our corn, and the weather has been kind of funny this summer, but they are doing really good. We got plenty of ears coming. Let's see if I can show you. Oh, you can kind of see the silk back there on one. Got some ears coming up here. And there's actually something I'd like to show you guys. If I can find it. Let's see, I gotta go in. Let's see, where is it? I'll have to show you from the other angle. It's easier to see. But something's going on with our corn, so I'll definitely show you guys that in a minute. But let me kind of back out a little bit. So right down here below the corn, I have some cauliflower planted. This is my fall crop, because we have more down the way for our summer crop, and we are still harvesting from it. There's actually some I gotta harvest. But I have an eggplant right here, and there's actually another one behind it. It's doing okay. I see some eggplant coming in. Yeah, a little fruit coming in there. It's about time, because I planted these in early spring, and now they're finally doing something. Here we are in September, so I don't know. I've never grown eggplant before, so maybe it takes that long, or maybe it's just because of the season. Who knows? But over here, I have some radishes that are actually starting to flower, so I should probably harvest those soon here too. But in between the radishes here and the eggplants there, I have spring rapini. It's a broccoli rabe variety. So I have that there. I planted that in the spring. It didn't do so good. So hopefully the fall works better for it. And then over here, these two, I have Romanesco broccoli. So we got a little more broccoli in for fall. And then here is my tomato forest, I like to call it. Definitely consider your plant spacing when you plant tomatoes, because there's probably like 7 or 8 plants just all mashed into one big mass here. But I've been coming out here pretty much daily picking tomatoes. They're starting to ripen. You can kind of see that there's some orange and red in there. This guy in this front corner, it's a golden nugget, so I got some yellow tomatoes in there. Those are really good. They actually kind of like a yellow grape tomato. So those have been popping off really nicely as well. But again, yeah, like my tomato forest, this is all just different varieties of tomatoes kind of clumped together. And then I have a smaller section of tomato plants that are a little more spaced out here. But yeah, everything is really ripening up nicely. I'm hoping that the winter doesn't hit before all these turn red, because we'll have a lot of green tomatoes then. But anyway, moving down the line, here is our little broccoli forest. It's definitely blown up. You could see there's some broccoli that I could harvest before it blooms. And I've been coming out here pretty much daily for these guys too, all these little crowns. And we just got rain last night and today, so everything's a little wet, but nice healthy thunderstorms, so everything's really kicking off. It has been very dry this year for us. We're kind of in like an unofficial drought. So this rain is really appreciated, and you can tell it is much needed. At least we can tell. So over here I might have said Romanesco. It's actually Calabrese broccoli, so I misspoke with this variety. And then over here is the Romanesco. It's actually supposed to kind of look like almost like a cross between a broccoli and a cauliflower. Really cool lime green, kind of pointy crown design, but unfortunately these guys really didn't do anything. Nothing's been produced. They've just gotten really tall and bushy like this. So again, I don't know if it's like the eggplant where it just takes a lot longer, or if maybe just the season was really funny for them or what. But so yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna plant these again in the future just because of the lack of productivity, and kind of a waste of space, to be honest with you. It would have been nice to have something a little more productive in this spot, especially with how much room this stuff does take up. So I don't know if anyone else has had better luck and might have any tips for me as far as Romanesco broccoli goes. But yeah, that's where I'm leaning towards right now, is maybe next year pass on these guys. But back here I have like 4 different trellises. This trellis closest to us are some peas. I don't recall the variety, to be honest with you, but it's like a nice flat style pea. Here's one now. Not quite ready. They do get a little bit bigger, but it's a very flat style pea. When they first started coming, I thought they were leaves, to be honest. I didn't realize what they look like. But these other trellises that you can kind of see here, those are all bean plants, like bush beans, green beans and stuff like that. I do have a Roma 2 variety of beans, and I thought that really produced well. So I think next year I'll consider that. But I also want to try some pole beans. I think we'll get a lot more fruit from those next year. So maybe do a mixture of both instead of just the bush beans. But also, I definitely wouldn't plant them right here again. I do plan on doing a crop rotation regardless, but as far as being in the back, they got shaded out by everything else, essentially. So, yeah, if I'm going to do bush beans, they're definitely going in the front. Note to self. But anyway, so that's pretty much it for everything on this side of the garden. Now I'm going to meander over here to this side, and this is where we have our summer cauliflower. We have a lot of purple. You can tell this one I need to harvest. It's a little past due, but that's okay. It's still good. Here's another one. I'll probably harvest that one right away too. It's starting to really fan out. But we got that. Got my big sunflower. I hope that blooms before it gets cold. It looks like it's about to, so. I actually have 3 sunflowers in the garden. One is right here. And then I have actually one that's competing with the corn. It's like just as tall, so it's pretty impressive. And then I actually have another one over in that corner by that yellow hummingbird feeder there. So I like my sunflowers. Hopefully I get to see them this year. But anyway, and then here we have some nice white cauliflower. A lot of that's probably ready to go. Yeah, ready to harvest. So we'll have to come out here and do that. Over here, I had a bunch of carrots planted. I harvested those. I actually ended up planting more next door. So those maybe in the next week or two should be ready to pull. And then I do have random, when I planted my marigolds around the perimeter of the garden, I planted my bulbed onions in between. And not every bulb took, so I kind of have random bulbs in the garden. So there's one, and then I got like 2 more down there. So we'll get some onions this year, I know that. Maybe not a lot, but we'll get some to start. And then here's some cabbage, plenty of cabbage. I've actually managed to harvest 3 heads so far. Been making sauerkraut, and I know I promised a video on that, so that's coming soon. I just like to get the kinks worked out, I guess. Here we have our green onions, or our bunching onions. They are doing phenomenal. I've been trying to get out here and utilize them as much as I possibly can. Actually, back in there, let's see if I can get closer. Next to the carrots and the cabbage, I actually have a little patch of romaine lettuce. I planted lettuce over there earlier this year, and that's the only thing that took, so I've been kind of harvesting from that guy here and there. Got more cabbage. I planted more carrots in here too the other day, so I'm waiting for those guys to pop up. Excuse me. Over here, we have even more cabbage. This is our fall planting. So you can kind of tell our summer cabbage and then our winter cabbage. So hopefully that takes. It's growing really nicely. Hopefully we can enjoy some of it for the winter before it gets too cold. Over here I have 2 little Brussels sprouts. They've been kind of just hanging on. I actually had them planted in the spring, and now they are officially mature enough to come out in the fall. So again, probably one of those things I might not try growing again just because of the labor, the time, and the lack of productivity. So yeah. And then right here I have a beet mix planted right along in here. I can see a couple of them are coming up, so that's going to be nice. I did harvest some beets earlier in the season, so it'll be nice to have some more for later in the season. And then right here is our crazy curly kale. I actually bought these at the store towards like the end of the season sales and stuff like that, and I didn't realize how big 6 plants were gonna get. So I've been harvesting kale like crazy and just eating tons of kale. I'm actually trying to give a lot of it away to people that might need some or want some because I have so much. So yeah, that's our kale. Our celery here, I planted this in the spring as well, and now it's finally like really kicking off and growing up. I do think the kale is impeding its growth a little bit, kind of shading it out and stuff, so I'll have to consider that next year because we like our celery, even though it's a little slow paced. Maybe it just needs its own little section. And then here are some more carrots I planted. I have carrots everywhere, but these are probably the next in line to get harvested. Yeah, doing pretty good. I ended up planting some rutabagas in here. I harvested some earlier this season. It looks like a couple might be coming up, a couple rutabagas. So hopefully we'll get those too. I even ended up planting a couple turnip. I planted some in the spring, but those didn't come up, so hopefully these do here. And then over here I have plenty of spinach in the back, some more romaine lettuce. and some salad mix lettuce here as well. So got all that going, and that's actually part of my fall planting as well for my fall garden. And then over here you can see another bulbed onion. It's thriving. And then I actually have smaller, they're blizzard peas is the variety, but they do vine up like the telephone pea. They didn't vine up as tall this year, and I honestly just left them. I left them get really nice and big, the peas themselves. So maybe I can shell them and actually have peas instead of pea pods. So just a little experiment I'm doing, but and in here is my big sunflower plant up close. But yeah, as far as the main crop garden, that is pretty much it. I'm going to show you a couple pots that I'm growing things in and my little herb culinary garden too. So we'll head over there. So we are outside the main crop garden, and I actually had some things in containers. I was thinking that things would kind of, if I were to grow a lot of the stuff in the containers, it would free up a lot of space in the garden. But to be honest, I mean, it did help, but at the same time, it obviously didn't make a difference because there's just so much space in there, and just everything really fills out more than at least I anticipated. So, but also a little side note, on this side of the garden, I do intend on getting little flower beds or little garden beds to come out, maybe like 1.5 feet, and then maybe go up about 1 foot, so I can have things growing along this side and maybe even the back side of the garden too. But that way I can give myself a little more space for things that might stay in the ground longer or might take a little longer to produce. Like maybe my carrots I can have grow here, lettuces, onions, things like that. Whereas everything else can kind of hang out in the main crop. That's the idea. We'll see. But anyway, here in these 2 pots, I actually just harvested little carrots out of here, and I planted some more, like they're like baby carrots, so I planted those in the pots. And here I have a green, I think these are the California Wonder variety of bell peppers. I have managed to pick a couple of the green bell peppers, which is really nice. They don't get very large, probably about this size to be honest with you, but I'm trying to let this one turn red. That way we just have some red peppers too. Over here is the Numix Joe pepper. It's producing really nicely, and I believe these peppers do turn red as well. I haven't harvested one yet. I mean, I could try just to see how strong it is or how spicy, but yeah, they can, I believe they turn red when they're ready. And then over here is another tomato plant. This guy is doing fantastic. I wish I managed to put a tomato cage on him sooner, because he's just vining up the fence and dripping out of his pot, but he is really producing nicely. It's another golden nugget tomato plant, so we have one out here and then we have one in the garden too. And yeah, producing really good. There's a couple in there that are ready. And then on this side, pretty much mirrors the other side, minus the tomato plant. We have another Numix Joe pepper plant, again producing pretty good. Got a couple peppers on there already. This one's starting to change a little, I think. We have another green bell California Wonder pepper. Yeah, another one that's starting to lighten up, so maybe I'll let that one go red too. See if that can happen. And then I planted more baby carrots in this one, but not this one. I just harvested from that one maybe about a week ago, so got more carrots going. Here are my potato bags. I got 4 different varieties of potatoes growing in multiple different bags and a couple pots. I like these bags so far. They're actually holding up pretty well. The potato plants seem very happy in them. And not gonna lie, I managed to open up this little flap and just removed a little bit of dirt, and I found a cute little potato. I should have showed you guys, but it was really exciting. So far I'm really liking these bags. I don't know if anyone else is interested in them. I could leave a link for you guys in the description about them and where I got them, because it's really neat, especially if you want to conserve on space in the garden, or if you don't have a lot of space for a garden, come in handy. Plus, they're not just for potatoes. You can grow anything in them. So you can use them as a regular old pot if you'd like. So yeah, here's one potato plant. There's another potato plant. And this guy here is actually a Jerusalem artichoke. So different than a potato, but it grows very similar like a potato. Nice root vegetable. I have never had one, never grown one before. This was actually given to me by a good friend of mine. So I'm excited about it. Should be yummy, should be interesting. And again, as far as I know, it just grows like a potato. So once the greens kind of die back, then it's ready to harvest. So over here, we have more pepper plants. My little pepper patch, I guess you'd say, is kind of a makeshift spot for them. But in here, I have a variety of like orange bell peppers, some yellow bell peppers. I haven't been able to harvest from these guys yet. They don't get as much sun as everything else. You can tell they're in the shade now, whereas everything else is still in the sun. But they're growing nicely. Nice enough to where I had to prop them up on the cages here because they were falling all over each other. Over here, I have my cayenne peppers. I'm actually growing these medicinally primarily. They do have really good medicinal benefits, and I'll probably do another video on that with our plant walk series that I have going on. Go check that out if you haven't seen any of those videos yet. But yeah, we're getting a lot of cayenne peppers, so it's really exciting. Alrighty, my famous culinary herb garden pot place. I don't know. This is a green stalk, so it's a tiered garden. I have it on a spinner so it rotates nicely. And yeah, I have various culinary herbs growing in here. I've been harvesting from them a lot. I have 3 different varieties of basil growing. I have some broadleaf sage. I even managed to plant some more lettuce and stuff in here. You can see it is growing nicely, filling the pocket up. Some salad mix lettuce and some more romaine. I have parsley growing in here too. I had cilantro, but I ripped it out because no one here likes it, I guess, which is fine. But I don't want to grow anything that we're not going to use. So, and then here's even some more parsley up top. I have a lemon balm I'm trying to rehabilitate. Looks like he's coming back. With the help of that good storm and lightning. More basil here. I have dill. Lots of dill flowering. I had spinach in here. I did harvest a lot of that. It was starting to bolt. Some more sage. And I also, oh, right here, I missed it. It's by the lettuce. Stevia. Stevia is like an all-natural sweetener. So I'm growing a lot of that. I've been harvesting that as well. It's a better alternative than sugar. And it's actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 10 times more sweet than sugar. So you don't need as much of it as you would sugar. So thought that's pretty interesting and nice to have on hand. And also, I have chives growing on the bottom tier, so lots of chives. And I also have chives in the strawberry patch, but I honestly don't know if I want to show you guys that. It's pretty bad. It's full of weeds and just a mess. But anywho, over here we're in the process of weeding this. Everything was kind of in pots and it's a nice little rock garden. So we are in the process of weeding it. It's kind of a pain in the butt. We have to rip out all the rocks to get all the weeds. So, but over here I have lots of mint growing. One variety I have is a mountain mint. right here in this pot get nice and tall. The leaves are a little more pointy than like your typical like peppermint or spearmint, so it's a little different, but just as nice. Has that minty aroma to it too. And in this pot, I actually have lemon verbena growing. Nice culinary herb to have on hand, and it's actually a good natural insect repellent for mosquitoes and such. Hi, Brick. Anyway, over here I have another potato plant in this bucket. I didn't have enough grow bags. I need to buy more, so I had to improvise and use a couple pots and some 5-gallon buckets. This bucket does have a crack at the bottom of it, so there is drainage. It works perfectly, and it does look pretty happy so far. My white rose, I thought it was done for the season, but it's growing nicely. It's starting to shoot out some more rose heads, which is nice. And then that bucket right here, that's more potatoes growing. This is the portion we haven't weeded yet, as you can tell. But over here I got chocolate mint, which is really nice to have. It smells so delicious, like its name, chocolatey, minty, almost like a thin mint or an Andes candy or something. Here I have your traditional spearmint. And I actually have to come out and harvest some mint because they're getting out of hand, and I like to keep some on standby. Next door I have peppermint. I believe this is the peppermint. Yes, we have peppermint here as well. Behind the mint I have a thing of rosemary. I actually have some growing inside right now, but it's a small little baby plant, so this is what I've been using when I need it. And I actually took some of the sage and rosemary and made a salt blend with it. I recently did a video of that, so if you haven't checked that out, go watch it, because it's pretty interesting and it's very delicious. It's a nice way to spice up some meals. And there's so many blend options you could do. It doesn't have to just be rosemary and sage. Here I have a mojito mint, which is really, really interesting. Been trying to get creative with it and using it in the kitchen a little more, so it's turning out really nicely. And then back here I have my pineapple mint, which it is growing pretty wild. Just because of where it's sitting and all the weeds here and stuff, so. But, yeah, pineapple mint has that nice minty aroma, but it has like a hint of citrus to it, so kind of neat. Very different. And I guess, oh, before I do that, before I forget, I want to show you guys that corn I was talking about. Let's see if I can find it. Right here. So right here on this corn stalk, you got like this like growth. This is actually kind of it's a fungus that grows on corn, and it is called corn smut. Now this is, I'm pretty sure it's a fungus that grows out of the ear itself, so out of the kernels and stuff like that. I might be mistaken, but it's usually right where the ear comes out of the corn. As you can see right here, it's where it's going to split and produce. It is a fungus, and traditionally here in the States, you wouldn't use this corn anymore. You know, the stalk, it's pretty much, that's it for it. But I was reading in Mexico, it is considered a delicacy. It is edible, can be edible. You can, you know, cook it up like you would maybe a mushroom of some sorts, and fry it up that way. It's actually, over there, it's typically used as a filler in quesadillas and stuff, so I thought that was kind of interesting. I honestly don't know if I'm going to try it, at least right now, but I thought that was kind of interesting to know. So if anyone's worried, oh no, a fungus, well, it's edible, it's just not good for the corn. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. And then a couple more pots I have over here. I have my more mature lemon balm plant. It is thriving. And again, I have to come out here and harvest a bunch of this stuff. And then here I have lemon thyme. So it's like your herb, the thyme herb, but it has that lemony aroma or hint to it. So very delicious, and it's kind of a neat herb to have just to spice up the kitchen a little bit. Over here, again, I have a couple more potato plants in grow bags. They're starting to fizzle out. Must be that time of year where the potatoes are getting ready to harvest, so really looking forward to that. And I know I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to show you my strawberry patch. I'm so embarrassed. But, again, that's it. It's a wild weed patch now. But, trust me, there's strawberry plants in there. There's even some chive plants in there. They're actually starting to flower. But, yeah, the strawberries, I probably harvested about 5 of them. And then the squirrels, I'm pretty sure it was the squirrels or the birds. They got to them before I could. So that was that for the strawberries, and I just kind of neglected the patch. Simple as that, unfortunately. But next year, I think we're going to have a different game plan for our strawberry patch. Kind of amp it up a little bit. And over here, we have a very large pot of potatoes. So they're doing good. Again, starting to fizzle out too, so might be getting ready to harvest. But yeah, big pot. Probably our largest pot that we have. Beginning of the year, we ordered some apple trees, elderberry bushes, raspberry bushes, and asparagus from our local orchard. And there's a video on that as well. But we planted 2 different types of asparagus on this side of the property, and they are doing really good. We weren't sure, since this is the first year, that they would even come up, but they have, and they're thriving. We didn't harvest any because it's the first year. They were just very, very thin spears. But if you let them grow out, this is what they look like. And kind of creates like a little wisp. So I'm just kind of leaving them do their thing. So next year, hopefully, they can come back a little thicker and a little more mature. But yeah, that's one variety over here on this side. And then we have another variety on this side as well. Both are doing really good. One's a purple variety and one's a green variety. Back here in this pot, we have an Egyptian walking onion. This was another gift from my friend of mine. Very delicious, good alternative to green onions or table onions. If you don't like that strong taste, this is a little more mild, a little more smooth, but very tolerable, not overpowering at all. And then here I have some German chamomile growing. It's doing okay. I do intend on planting it in the ground probably before winter hits. I'd like to find a spot to establish it though. I'm debating if I want this area here to be kind of like an unofficial herb garden, like medicinal herb garden, because German chamomile does have very beneficial medicinal properties. But I don't know if I want to dedicate this garden to my medicinal herbs or kind of have things spread about. I'm not quite sure yet, so still working on that. Back in this little pot here, I have marshmallow. I haven't been able to harvest any of it yet. Every time it gets to a certain point, either a deer or a rabbit comes and eats it, so I'll have to think of something for that as well, because that is also another very beneficial medicinal herb to have on hand. So over here I have a pot of lavender as well. It's kind of fizzled out. I mean, it's still alive, it's just the flowers have finished blooming, so it's there. I like to put that in the ground as well, let it kind of flourish more and further so I can enjoy its benefits as well. Alright, you guys, that is pretty much it as far as all the food that we're growing, and some medicinal things too that's important to have on hand. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that we got going on right now in the garden. Like I said, just been doing a lot of harvesting, did fall planting in August, so hopefully that, you know, kind of really kicks off and the weather kind of cooperates with us. And we need more rain, so as long as we get rain, I'm okay. But yeah, and I did mention, I didn't show you guys because there's really not much to show you, but earlier this year we got some elderberry bushes, a couple apple trees, some raspberry bushes. Everything is doing really well. They're just really small, like the raspberry and elderberry bushes. Those are just really small little stems. They're bushing out with the leaves, so, but it's not like they're producing anything. So not yet, at least. And I know that it takes a couple years for them to establish. So didn't really want to bother showing you guys that because they're just hanging out. They're doing their thing. Let them just relax. And then with our apple trees, though, it seems that one has not made it. So we will have to invest in another one because you do need 2 different varieties to pollinate each other, I guess. But one of them is actually growing very nicely, very strong. It's the standard size. I believe it's the Wolf River variety. So far so good. So hopefully, probably not next year, but the year after we'll get a couple apples from them. So, and then yeah, we're gonna have to get another one. So it'll help that guy out too. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. We did finish beefing up the garden. I did a couple videos on that as well. I think it was a 2-parter video of us rebuilding our garden and stuff like that, but all we had to do was do the railings, and that's all official. That's done finally, so it looks really good. So yeah, and I want to do a compilation video on that to kind of give you guys an update and show you really what it looks like and how it was done. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it as far as our garden update for the month of August. And yeah, this season's doing really good. Garden season of 2023, the year of the garden, really doing good. I expected more, but I'm glad that it isn't because I know it would have been a lot because this is a lot. So, and now it's just all preserving it all. But yeah, that's for another video, another time. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope everyone's garden is doing just as good, if not better than mine. And don't forget to like, and don't forget to leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any other garden fun on the homestead. Alright guys, bye.